Hi, everyone. It's me, just Bryan, or as I am also more notably known as Rev Bryan. So, if you haven't noticed, it's just me. Mary is away this evening, so I am here by myself. So, we're gonna do our usual, read some cards, hang out, talk, chat, all those things. So first we're gonna put the chat up on the screen. All right, there we go. All right. So it's Tarot Thursday. Well, most of the world it's still Thursday. For our friends down under, it's Friday. So happy Friday. Ground rules. No legal stuff. No medical stuff. I encourage you all to share your toys and play nicely in the sandbox. Don't ask me about your feelings or your unborn children's genders. I really don't want to know. But yay, go you. And them. I have dropped my little tip cup here for the evening. So there it is. So it's just me. So we'll see how many cards we decide to pull. Could be 3. Could be more than 3. Could be less than 3. Hi, Erica. Nice to see you. Elvis might come hang out with us. Who is my cat? Oh, here she comes. Hi, Elvis. Would you like to say good evening to your stands and fans? Yeah. All right. So, you have questions. We may have answers. We all survived a full moon this week. Good job, everybody. It was harder for some more than others. I know it was a rocky one over here. Thanks. That's Elvis. She also uses she and her pronouns, or that kitty, depending on how she feels. Hi, Kayleen. Just like I said, it's Friday down under, so Kayleen keeping me up to breast stuff on my time zones. So, if you have questions, please put them in the chat, or this is going to be just me talking to myself, which I'm not as good about it as some of my fellow Corellians. I am not good just talking to myself. However, this is good practice. Oh, look, Kai's here. Hi, Kai. I already started on the paper because I'm an overachiever. But we already knew that. Because for some reason, I seem to have agreed to also help organize Pride at my day job. So, there's a lot going on. It's only the second week of May. So, it is a busy time. I will say, my personal cards were pretty accurate when it came to some work projects that I had coming. So, yay. But my work is... All right, Erica has a question. Erica's question is, and then Kayleen has a question, and Kai tells me there's nothing wrong with talking to yourself, just looks weird in mixed company. Well, I'm officially in mixed company, so it might look weird. Hi, Elvis. Say hello to the internet. Don't be rude. And then we're going to pull cards for Erica. You want to help? Yep. Bump the cards. All right. Erica's question is, do you see a change in my relationship status anytime soon? Well, Erica, I'm assuming that means you're single. and you're hoping that you won't be. So let's find out. Or you're in a situationship that you'd wish to get out of. Which is also. Alright. Relationships and Erica. Here we go. Well, I would say that the first card, which is the Four of Swords, says that you're in the middle of a recharge and a rest from probably your last relationship, and there was something tumultuous there that needs you to recharge and, take a step backwards and reflect on. The second card I pulled is the Eight of Swords. Now, swords is all in the realm of communication and sort of critical thinking. So I would say that with two swords, both the 4 and the 8, you've probably been too focused on finding someone for a bit. Let it happen naturally and let the person come to you, because over searching can lead to problems or finding the wrong person who you thought was the right person. And this reading is all swords based. The third card I pulled is the Page of Swords. And the Page of Swords is about sort of inquisitiveness. Hi, Ed. It's just me tonight, so, nothing exciting. Just status quo. But anyway, Erica, 3 swords in a love reading is you're overthinking it or you're trying too hard. Love finds you, or when you find it I would say it takes more time, and it's summertime, so less relationship, more situationship. Friends with benefits. Or meeting new people. All right, so we did Erica, then we have Kayleen, then we have Kai. So the question from Kayleen was, I'm giving a talk to young trans people next week. Can I get a reading of any advice on that, please? Well, I have lots of advice on that, Kayleen, as that's something I do all the time. But I'm assuming you don't want my actual advice, you want the card's advice. So let's do that first. All right, for Kayleen about her talk to the youths. I actually gave a talk to an audience of TGNB folk last week, which is why I wasn't here. So lots of us are doing lots of talking right now. So the Eight of Wands says that when you're giving this talk, you're going to get very excited, as most of us do, on a topic that we care about. So remember to go slow, and even the things you think you don't have to explain them, because not everyone is at your level. So remember you're going to want to speed up and talk fast, and you're going to get excited. So remember to tell yourself to pause, breathe. You're allowed to sip water when you talk, and to start from a place of knowledge, but also remember that, especially when talking to youth, don't talk so much about the medical aspects, but talk about the social aspects and the social piece of transitioning and living authentically. And the Four of Cups basically says everything I've just said, which is to remember to pull back a little when talking, especially on something that can be something quite emotional, and something that you resonate with. So go slow. And the 5, which follows up the 4, again, remember to remember perspective. As you said, you've been given these talks for a while. The environment has changed, and the conversation about it has changed. and it's important to, unfortunately, everything becomes a 5 second clip that can go on the internet. So just being mindful of talking to audiences is new, but everyone takes your words and twists them around. So just something to be mindful of, both with the cards and just my advice. So I hope that's helpful, and I hope your talk goes well. So I was talking actually in reverse last week I was talking to youth about what it's like to both be in my 30s and work with people who are elders. So it was an interesting conversation. And then Kai said, add me to the lineup, financial outlook for the rest of the year for me. Your financial outlook is dependent upon you scanning that QR code and leaving a nice tip. JK, but tips are appreciated because I'm by myself. And it's Pride season, and I'm going to, any tips that I get this evening, I'm going to donate to my friend Zephyr, who is Mr. Eagle 2025, and also he works at GMHC, and their age walk is this weekend. So any of my tips are going to go towards him tonight. So cards about money for Kai. And the AIDS Walk, for those who don't know, is the big fundraiser here in New York City. They do with the gay men's health crisis, and they walk around Central Park, and that's this weekend. So my tips are going to go to Zephyr for his heavy stepping around Central Park this weekend. So that is my shameless plug, because I'm my own sponsor this evening. All right, so Ace of Cups. So the Ace of Cups, as you know, Kai, is about feelings. So obviously you have lots of feelings and worries about money. So obviously you're going to have feelings and worries about money. So that's fine. However, it's how you deal with your feelings that's important. The second card I pulled is the World. Now, the World would say that you have some sort of achievement. So obviously, I don't know what you're achieving in the financial realm yet. However, you've achieved something and you're having feelings about it. So let's see what else the cards have to say. Now, this is interesting. So we pulled the Ace of Cups, the World, and then we pulled the Ace of Pentacles, which is actually about money. Don't we love when that happens? So obviously the Ace is about abundance and manifestation. So whatever you're having feelings about that you've accomplished, or that you're thinking about doing something where you will generate new income or different income, the cards are saying you should do that. And Kai, if I know you, you're always working on crafting in something and doing something. I'm seeing new money coming in your general direction. So, hi, Janet. I will give you a general reading after Anissa. So Anissa says, as much as I love books, I don't know if I'm doing second degree level work or third level. I think I'm trying too hard, similar to our first guest. Well, Anissa, if you haven't completed your second, you should be doing second. But there's a whole, much like college. Kai, well, that's the answer. You started buying stuff to vend at shows. Ding, 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 ding. Bryan wins something. I don't know what it is, but yay. All right, Anissa. So yes, I would say that without pulling cards, you are thinking too hard, but we're going to pull cards anyway. And I'm speaking as someone who has done a first degree in a couple different traditions multiple times, and only now, thanks to my lovely mentor, Kai. Hi, Kai. I'm working on my second degree, and I'm a good way through it. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with doing degrees over in different traditions and starting over. But we're gonna pull cards about that anyway. So the first card I have for you, Anissa, is the Knight of Wands. So yes, lots of ambition and risk taking, and it sounds like you may be going too fast, so it's okay to slow down. The degrees path is not linear. It is quite the opposite of that. It can look much like your heart rate in the emergency room. So it goes up, it goes down, it comes up, it goes down. Now, I shuffled my cards, as you will all see, and I again have pulled the Five of Cups. Now, the Five of Cups, like we spoke about in the other reading, is emotions. So I'm getting the sense that you feel disappointed that you are fluctuating in what you consider a linear degree of study. I'm here to tell you that there's nothing to be disappointed about. People do things at their own paces at their own times. And with that, you should just pause and reflect on it, because I get the sense that you are trying to chase or obtain status. And it's not always about that in religious study as much as people think. It's about your own path, your own journey, and sometimes you have to sort of like college, realize that you're going at your own pace and you might not get there with everyone else, and that's okay. So in this deck, which, by the way, I'm using the Next World Tarot this evening, this card, which is called the Messenger, is similar to the Emperor in the sense that it's about authority and power. So like I just said, Anissa, you're chasing a standard of accomplishment that is not the same as in other realms. It's, again, like I said, sort of like advanced education in the sense that you go at whatever pace you need to, and you take the things and the courses that you like to achieve the things that you want. So, with that said, similar but different to the first reading I did, it's okay to slow down and reassess. You are not in a rush, nor should you be when it comes to this sort of thing, in my opinion. Because very few people who are ordained pagan clergy do it for financial reasons. It's actually more of a service to the community that doesn't have the same invest on deposit as something like a degree that you use for a job or a career. So anyway, that's that on that. So I hope that was helpful, if not less confusing and more fulfilling for what you desire. And then Janet was asked for a general reading. I love a general reading. I absolutely can do that. I am here after all. All right. General readings. All right. Well, usually when I read generally by myself, the first card sets the standard for what this general reading is about. And the first card I pulled for you, Janet, is the Six of Pentacles, which is about, well, material and general resources, mostly money. So I get the sense, yes, Elvis, do you have something you'd like to say about money? You don't have any money. You're a kitty. You don't even have to pay for your own cans. So, but for you, Janet, the Six of Pentacles is about the giving and receiving. It also has to do with prosperity in material resources, meaning that you have what you need to get by. It could be the bare minimum. It could be a lot, dependent on your circumstances. But you have the ability to tithe or give back in a way that's both good for others and good for yourself, and you get fulfillment from doing it. However, that isn't to say that sometimes that you don't struggle. And the second card that I pulled is the Two of Wands, which is about the prospect and the possibility of a challenge. So there is a my cat's broke. Yes, all cats are broke. They have no material resources. However, my cat is always advocating for more cans. She is quite the advocate, and she is always demanding a raise in her allowance when it comes to her allotment of cans. However, in your case with the Two of Wands, there is going to be a time either in the present or in the not too far future where you might have to reassess what tithing looks like to you or what giving back looks like. And there will be some internal conflict on you might have to pull back a little, you might have to pause, you might have to wait a while before you can do sort of any of that donating or tithing, because sometimes you have to invest or save or put away for yourself in order to have a rainy day fund for later. Kayleen said Elvis is too magnificent to be bothered with such matters as money, except for shiny coins to chase. She actually doesn't chase shiny coins. She actually prefers to chase around household objects, bottle caps, twist ties, dust bunnies, those things. She doesn't particularly like shiny things. And the third card I have for you, Janet, is the Seven of Wands, which again, in the land of wands, it's about passion but also action. And there is some sort of challenge coming your way, which you either are feeling coming or are seeing happen in real time, that is making you stress or worry about your ability to share your resources with others because it's something that's important to you. However, you can't share your resources with others if you are worried about something that could happen to you. So trust your gut, right, Elvis? We trust our feelings here. Are you being extra on the internet this evening because Daddy is streaming and Miss Mary's not here? That's fine. So I hope that was helpful, Janet. Hi, Jade. So if anybody has any more questions, feel free to put them in the chat. If anybody is here who would like more cards or have more questions that either me or Elvis can answer, we'll hang out for a little bit. If you want to see any of my random things that I keep on my art cart, we can do some of that. The most newest item on my art cart or in my general vicinity is the piece of artwork that I won from the Corellians auction. And it is, well, now I own two of them. I own two pieces of Reverend Don Lewis's Zodiac art. I own Aries, which he donated last year. And now I have one Taurus, which I won this year. So I was making this joke earlier this week to Reverend Don that unfortunately he either has to sell all of the 12 signs of the zodiac, or I'm going to have to go scan his cards into my computer and print them out so that I can frame them all, because I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to those sorts of things. And well, I can't just have 2 signs of the zodiac. I need them all, much like a Pokemon. So I am rather excited about having a place to hang those up. Thanks, Janet. That was helpful. Sometimes I get mixed or cross signals from the universe when I read things, so it's nice to have feedback that I was on the right track. So I deal with some issues of self-doubt when it comes to my abilities reading cards. Been reading tarot since I was, oh boy, at least 12 or 13 the first time. I started reading tarot, not reading the cards. I was reading a book. I believe it was one of Aleister Crowley's books, and it was at a friend's house in Bayonne, New Jersey. So for those who don't know, I live in New York City, so New Jersey is not that far away. I'm lived in New York my entire life. My husband is from much larger states where you cannot just drive over a bridge and you're 30 minutes later you're in another state. He's from places where it takes many hours to get anywhere different than the state that he originates from. So, but yeah, I spent most of my early teenage years at this one particular family friend's house of a pagan couple who, well, like most pagans, has way too many books and no one to read them. So my mom and them would talk and talk as adults did, and I got to hang out with their fuzzy monsters, eat grilled cheese, and read tarot, learn about tarot for hours on end. And it wasn't until my 20s that I actually picked up cards and saw if anything stuck or if the universe had allowed anything to stick. So, and I am, oh well, I just turned 35 last year. So, yeah, that's a little bit about me. And then this business that I run, Queer Justice Tarot, I started during the COVID-19 pandemic. So, it was my COVID project. I needed something to do while we were all home, and this is what I landed on. So obviously the name, I am LGBT, I am queer. I really associate heavily with the Justice card in the tarot. And yeah, so that's how the name came to be. So if you scan the QR code, not only will you find places to donate or tip me, you can book readings with me on my website and find all of the other things that I offer. So there is that. And if no one else would like a reading or has any questions, I will go till about 10:35 unless I have, oh, thank you, Janet. Unless anyone has a question about something or wants to ask me a question about something that I am okay answering, I'll stop at 10:35 here in the greatest city in the world, as they say on some of the radio stations back in the day. And I will leave you all on this Thursday evening. Yeah. Elvis, do you want to talk to the people? Oh, you're welcome, Kayleen. Oh. Now I'm going to have to know what this deck is, Kai, because you just telling me I got a new deck this week and the Gen X in you loves the deck. I need to know what this deck is, or I'm going to think you bought Garbage Pail Kids. Good, because I was really thinking you were going to tell me like you pulled like Lisa Frank Tarot or like, something like, Ninja Turtles or God knows what else. There's one deck, I think it's the Last Unicorn, that a bunch of people like. I particularly don't like it. It's not one of my favorite decks. I'm waiting for someone to be able to buy the rights to Jim Hanson's The Dark Crystal so that someone can make an actual licensed Dark Crystal Tarot, because the one that exists right now is actually not legitimate because they don't own the license to the artwork. And I am a big Jim Hansen fan, and I do not want to assault his spirit. Did like the last unicorn, but I love the Golden Girls deck. I have the Golden Girls deck. It is what it is. Actually, you know what? Maybe I'll use that for Pride. Actually, Kai just gave me an idea because all my Pride decks I actually can't use on the internet. They are considered NSWF, not safe for work. So maybe I could use the Golden Girls deck for Pride. That actually is a good idea. The other deck that I really like is the Friends Tarot that I have. That one's fun. Tom Selleck is the Emperor card, and I am a huge fanboy for 80s and 90s Tom Selleck. I'm a fan of Tom Selleck even when as an older adult. I'm here for it. I am here for it. He did look like Teddy Roosevelt in the last show that he did, which also was kind of a turn on gay boy moment. Like, I'm here for the zaddies. However, I love a. Ugh. All right, we're not gonna go down that road, but we could sometime during Pride. We can go down the daddies and the zaddies of Pride and Bryan's Tarot for sure. Yes. See, Kai, you understand. Yes, Magnum PI, Tom. Yes, that. If you want like low key Tom Selleck, like listening smut, his autobiography is great for that. Just saying. Now, again, I could talk about this all day. I won't because it's not tarot related. But if you want to know about all the bears, zaddies, and all of that else that I fanboy, you can feel free to hit me up by scanning the QR code. You can also, if you're part of the Corellian tradition, you can find me working on the paper because me and Kai run the Corellian Times. You can find me as the head of the Order of the Rainbow Tent, where the gays and the theys and everybody in between hang out. And those are all of my corny, shameless plugs because I am not sponsored this evening because it's just me. However, I would say that if you live in the United States and it is in your means to find an LGBT organization and donate to them this Pride season, the youths, the older adults, and everybody in between. So, with that, I will say goodnight to everyone and live long and prosper.